In this video, I'd like to show you how to obtain the data from 2021 to 2016 census of Canada to fill out the first table in the template. And using the numbers filled out in this table, we can conduct the shift share analysis, which will be in the second video. To start with, we are going to use Odyssey, Census 2021 and 2016 to obtain the data for this table. And you will find it handy to have both 21 and 2016 open at the same time so that we can synchronize the obtaining the data for two censuses at the same time. You will realize that in Odyssey, for individual pump file 2021, at the corner of it right here, it says explore variables. Click that. It will show you a total of 144 variables in the year 2021. Here it's a little muddled, but it shows the groupings of the census variables. And these are the detailed description of the name of the variable or the mnemonic, and as well as the actual meaning of that mnemonic. Then it also shows you basic summary statistics and the categories if it is a categorical variable. Further a little bit to here, you can see the actual questions in the census questionnaires corresponding to this particular variable to the left here. Now, our table here is to fill out total employment, full-time and part-time, and also in retail in Canada, Ontario, and also the Toronto CMA, so that later on we can fill out the table for Toronto CMA shift share analysis for the retail employment industry. To start with, let's look at 2021 census of population. I'm interested in total employment in Canada. So go down, you need to play with this website, check out the variables, find the ones that are relevant to what you want to do. In our case, looking at full-time and part-time employment, it's recorded in labor market activities. If I click that, I know it is full-time or part-time weeks worked in 2020. Now notice that census in 2021, in many of the variables are recording the activities in the preceding year. In other words, for 2021 census, the labor force activities, many of them are documenting the activities in year 2020 instead. If you look at FPTWK, full-time, part-time weeks worked for this variable, you can look at summary statistics and look at the categories. Let's take a look at summary statistics. You see how the mean, which is the average, is 4.9. This number is not meaningful. What is 4.9 for full-time or part-time? The reason it is not meaningful, it's because it's a categorical variable, which means 4 corresponds to sum of 1, 2, 8, and 9s observed in the respondents. Then take the average, it sits somewhere here, and this category does not exist. Therefore, if you take a look at the categories, it will show you the actual count of observations in each category. We are interested in both full-time and part-time workers in Canada in year 2020. So the sum of it is 406,992 plus 111,561. And notice that these are what are called unweighted counts. In other words, these are the actual respondents, not the whole population in Canada. If we multiply these counts by 37, we will receive what is called the weighted counts. Why are they weighted counts? Because every single respondent in the database, it's representing 36 to 37 others. In other words, this is what we call a 1 in 37 respondent or a census. So take this number, multiply into 37, you will get the entire population count. For now, we will use the unweighted count. total full-time and part-time employment in Canada in the 2021 census is equal to 406,992 plus, which is full-time plus part-time, 111,561. It's a total of 518,553 respondents in our survey. If we multiply this number by 37, it is total count, the weighted count in the entire population in Canada. So leave it as unweighted counts. We can do exactly the same thing for 2016. So coming back, but this time I'm looking at 2016 census. Find the exact variable in 2016 census. So explore variables. I want labor force activity or labor market activities. The mnemonic is full-time, part-time, weeks worked. Click that. Look at the categories. You will realize that full-time is 401,443 for Canada, and part-time it's 121,341. Put it back into the Excel file. It is 401,443 plus 121,341. You can tell there is actually a decline in total employment, full and part-time, in Canada between the two census years. What is the percentage change? It's 100 multiplied into the new minus old divided by the old, which is a minus not quite 1% of our population. Second, we want to fill out the table for retail employment only. And the classification we are going to use is the North American classification. So let's take a look at 2021. And the variables corresponding to it is NAICS, which is North American Industry Classification System. Click that. Take a look at the summary statistics. And this is for the entire Canada. For this example, we are looking at retail industry. So if you look at the count in retail in 2021, 64481, put it right here. 64481. Enter. Do the same thing for 2016. I'm interested in the summary for NAICS, exact variable. Take a look at the count for retail, 62990. Let's look at percentage change. It's an increase by about 2%. You can perform the same thing for Ontario and let me know, but instead focus on Toronto. So you can easily fill out the table here for Ontario once you know how to do Toronto by isolating a particular geography for the same set of numbers. So go back, how do we do the cross-tabulation that will focus on census metropolitan areas? Here, select all variables. Do cross-tabulations. And I want CMA, census, this is so difficult to look at. So let me declutter a little bit. Look at CMA. I want, for easy for the eyes, I want CMA to be in rows so that I can easily fish out Toronto CMA in the same row. And now this time, the columns, I want to look at full-time, part-time, weeks worked. Right here, add it to column. Click OK. It will take about half a minute to a minute for the data set to the website to do the online tabulation for you. Now we have our cross-tabulation ready from the website. You will realize that if you scroll down for Toronto, full-time and part-time combined is the sum of 69563 and 18080. So add them together. Total employment is, for Toronto, 69563 plus part-time 18080. Total employment in Toronto 2020, about 87,000 people, unweighted counts. Do the same thing for 2016 census. Let me declutter a little bit, go up all variables, do cross tabulation. Again, I want, expand it a little bit. I want my full-time, part-time to be in columns, and my CMA, all variables, cross tabulation, CMA, right there, to be in rows, and the full-time, part-time in columns. And now the cross tabulation is ready after about half a minute. You can tell that Toronto full-time and part-time combined in 2016, it's 68797 plus 19,000. So go back to the worksheet, sum it up, equals to 68,797 plus 19,789. It's a slight drop in total employment between the two census. Finally, I want to fill out the last row. And then you can, for your homework, you can fill out the Ontario component easily doing the same method. Now, looking at retail employment is the same method. Coming to 2021, I want to do all variables, cross tabulation, again with my CMA in my rows, and I want the industry classification NAICS in my columns. Okay. Now the numbers are ready. I'm interested in Toronto, so retail is right here. I'm interested in Toronto. Employment is 10397. So in retail trade in Toronto, this is 2021 10397. 10397. And what about 2016? All variables, cross tabulation, CMA in my rows, and NAICS going to my columns. Okay. So this is 2016. Retail going down to Toronto. It's 9980. It's an increase by about 4%. So if you compare what we just fill out with what's completed, it's right here, with the exception that if you are interested in looking at the extent to which its provincial impact affecting the total employment change in Toronto, you can fill out this part of the table using the same method as well.